Hi, welcome to Homeschool Talks, our brand new podcast. I'm Erin,
And I'm Rick.
and we just wanted to come on, introduce ourselves, and tell you a little bit about our homeschool journey before I start interviewing other homeschool parents. So, you want to tell them how in favor of homeschool you were when we started this thing?
Well, to begin with, and I'll tell you the truth, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a great idea because I thought, well, um, are they going to sit in the house all day, or are they going to wear clothes that she made? Are they going to become nerds?
I don't know how to make clothes, so we'd be in real
So
trouble.
they didn't run around naked. But I didn't know because that's what I've heard. That was a misconception I had about homeschool. So I was very much against it, and I was very much worried that there wouldn't be any socialization.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're on year 11 now in our homeschool journey, and his opinion has changed a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And so let me back up and just say I had a second grade daughter, and I was working. I was dropping her off to a friend who took her to school while I went to another school to teach, and then another friend would pick her up and bring her home, and we would meet back. I wasn't home till like 5 o'clock. And the best of our days were spent away from each other with strangers. I'm pouring out into other kids, other people are pouring into my daughter. And that's great, except that when it came time to do devotions and prayer and read the Bible, it was the end of the day. We were exhausted and she wasn't paying much attention. I didn't have a whole lot to pour out at that time. It wasn't the best that we could do. And I was so brokenhearted by that. And I just prayed. I was like, God, if you will allow me to homeschool my daughter, if you will make a way for us to do this, for me to leave my job and come home and homeschool, I will teach her Bible first every day. That's what my commitment was. And so Rick finally agreed.
Yeah, I caved and I said, okay, we'll try this and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really that, well, we could try this. So we did. We tried, and so it's successful. I will say she was in the third grade when we started homeschooling, and she has now graduated from homeschool programs. She is now in college. She's doing very well there, and we're super proud of her. That's the first part of our homeschool journey.
Yeah.
And now we have little ones, and our little ones are able to have a whole different. My reason for homeschooling initially was just I needed time with my daughter. I needed to be able to pour into her. I needed to teach her the word. And now we've been doing this. My reason has changed. The reason that we continue to do this is for family time. We have so much extra family time. We have flexibility. We don't have to stick to the school district schedule. We get to teach at our kids' pace and not at the pace of a curriculum. If they need more time or less time, we can move based on what they need. If I've got a preschooler, which I do, that's ready to do kindergarten work, we can do it. If somebody's having a bad day, if they're sleepy, if they've got a toothache, we can take a day off, or we can start later, or whatever it is. So I have a lot of flexibility. I get to instill a love of learning instead of, okay, here's the book, let's do the thing. It's, what do you want to learn about? What's your favorite thing in science? What are you interested in now? And we get to explore and have a lot more engagement. And when they're bored, I can stop. We can try a different tactic. We can throw out the book and try a different one.
Yeah.
And I have done that. I've changed curriculum mid-year. Okay, 4 times in 1 year. But it wasn't working, and I wasn't going to keep beating a dead horse. So we changed, and we now have something that we like. And I'm grateful for the ability to do that. My kids grow and they learn and they understand things. It's not just memorizing it for a test. And not only that, we get to teach them our worldview. We get to teach them from a biblical perspective instead of having someone else that we don't really know teach them whatever perspective they have, or a textbook that we don't agree with that they have to read, or answers to a test that they have to memorize that we don't agree with what it says. We don't have to do those things. We have the benefit of being able to do what we feel is right for our kids, and we get to allow them to be themselves. They're not pressured and bullied. They get to be themselves, and they get to discover their own talents and abilities on this journey. So those are all my reasons for continuing to homeschool. You want to add anything?
I'm just glad that our daughters are able to learn at their own pace and not the pace of we have to hurry up and move on so you can pass the test, that she can actually learn, and she learns things that, not only things that she's interested in, but she's learning things that she needs to know. And not only that, but there's also morals that we're teaching. I think Aaron may have said all that, so I'm just reaffirming that. Uh, that's what I believe too. So,
He's saying
um,
she because we have focused on one right now. We have a third grader, and then we have a preschooler, and we two that are graduated and out of the house now. But we have one main student, and then we have a tag along who really
Yeah.
made be skipping kindergarten because she may do it all in preschool. She just
Yeah.
loves school and loves learning,
Mhm.
and not like her sister who was not really excited. I think she was the preschool dropout.
Yeah.
Multiple times she told me, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
It's so funny because we didn't really have to do a whole lot of school, right? We didn't have to do preschool, but she was not interested at all.
Not at all.
But now she loves science. She's our science guru.
And
Anyway,
history.
yeah,
She's very big on history too.
yeah, yeah. So I want to talk about socialization because you brought that up. You said you didn't want them to be weird and sit at the house all day.
Yeah.
And I want you to help me tell everybody how wrong that myth is about homeschoolers being unsocialized.
Well, I found out that there are different clubs, different groups. There's a dance group that our girls are a part of. There's choir,
Homeschool choir, yeah.
homeschool choir. There's you can play sports. There's soccer. There's football. There was also a thing called a Lego club that one of the ladies, the homeschool moms, created. That's another group. Um, there's so many things that you can do to socialize with other kids. There's a thing that's called homeschool hangout. They do that once a month.
Yeah, that's at our public library.
Yeah.
We hang out with other homeschoolers. They have different activities for the kids to do, and we just get to talk as parents and share homeschool tips and tricks and help newbies along. That's a big part of our journey. We did a couch to 5K. Some moms got together and we walked until we could run, and then we did a couple of 5Ks. We did a couple of color runs, and our girls were in choir. We did do the Lego club. We were in a group called Field Trip Friends, where it was a group of friends that got together and did field trips together. And if you wanted to go, you went. If you didn't want to go, that was fine. And one mom would plan the field trip, and the rest of us would go and get the discount, because we were going as a group, getting group rate. We've been in co-op where the parents take turns teaching each other's children. Yeah. We've been in a learning center where you pay the teachers and the students learn core content. We participated in a university model. I actually taught some classes, and our 18-year-old was there. She took some classes. So it was a 2-day-a-week program, and you would pick and choose the classes you wanted your child to take. So like for me, I'm not a science person, so I signed her up for biology and marine biology. She got to dissect a shark, and she took chemistry, things like that I would never have been able to teach her at home, as well as they did there in the group. She got to learn with others. She got to be she took government and economics there, and they did a mock election. And so she learned all sorts of things. That was a really cool experience. She got to run for president, and they had a campaign committee, and they did all of these different things. So it wasn't just the learning it from reading in their book. They were actually doing the things as well. So very socialized. Yes. And one of our daughters was able to do a work study for a class she was doing, and she went and volunteered at our local crisis pregnancy center. And so she was there, and she was volunteering. She was helping organize supplies, and she was stuffing envelopes. And I think she got to be as like a patient advocate, be in a room with, I don't remember. Yeah. She was able to do a lot of really cool things and learn job skills and get class credit for the different things she was doing, learning how to work in a work environment, and volunteering all at the same time. So that's great stuff that she would not have been able to do otherwise. We were able to visit my grandmother. We've done all sorts of things with my Nana. We've learned all sorts of things. One of the kids wrote a book about her.
About her time in the Great Depression, and the 40s and the 50s. So just growing up
and living on a farm.
Yes.
She grew up on a tobacco farm. So they asked all kinds of questions, and one wrote a book, another one interviewed her and compared her life to like Laura Ingalls' Little House on the Prairie. So that was fun. And we've done family field trips.
We have been to, what's great about homeschool, you can take a field trip and you can count that as a school day.
Yeah, so even if we go on a Saturday, yeah.
We go on a Saturday, you can count as a school day. We've gone to like, there's a place called Colonial Brattonsville, which is a,
Historic Bradensville, yeah.
yeah, it's a,
Plantation.
Yeah, plantation from, and it's, they try to keep it as accurate as they can with the buildings and the people, how they dress and the things they do. It's very educational because you get not only hear about things from the 1700s and 1800s, you get to see it.
Yeah,
And
the
so
kids got to participate.
you get to experience it as well. That's very good. And it, like I said, it counts as a school day.
Yeah. We've also been to petting zoos, and we've
Yes.
done we've been to several different farms. We've done farm field trips and a couple of other
Mhm.
things. We have a museum membership, so we go to several museums because of that, and that's great. Fun
Yeah.
as a family. We get to do it together. Dad gets to be in on the learning, and he's a history buff, so he loves all of the things that we get to see and do there.
And the thing is, there's also learning involved too.
Yeah, and
Which is-
we're learning, and then we tie it back to what we're doing in school, and in
Mhm.
such a cool way. It's really really neat. Our kids are very socialized, though. I guess that's my point.
Yeah, very socialized.
So we've really had a great time. I haven't even named off all the things that we've done over the years, but we have been a part of lots of different groups and lots of activities and lots of not just sitting at home. Actually, we had one kid say, "We don't homeschool, we car school."
Yeah, because they're always on the go. They're going here,
That
going
and
there.
sometimes we were doing school in the car. It's like, grab your book and we'll read this while we go here.
Yeah.
So we've done that. I'm going to ask the people that I interview about their home school mission statement or a Bible verse or their overarching goal. And I just want to share ours. This wasn't something that we had when we first started by any stretch. It was all I could do to kind of survive and figure it all out and not like that at first. But as we've gone through this, I really believe that Deuteronomy 6 verses 6 and 7 is our mission statement or Bible verse and it says, "And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down and when you rise up." So that's what we get to do because we're with them when we lie down, when we rise up, when we walk here and there, and
When we're in the car going down the road.
yeah, it's always like we can always teach them. We can
Yeah,
always
there's an opportunity to teach.
yeah. And even when it's just this thing happened at co-op or this neighbor kid said this, and we get to help them to navigate things as we're seeing things happen or as they're reporting back from things that happen while they're away from us. What do you think about that? What should you have done? What, could we do next time better? And those kind of things. And it's just, it really guides our parenting, not just our homeschool, but homeschool it doesn't end. We say, oh, let's go do school. And that's the time that we're sitting at the table. But sometimes we do school outside or on the couch.
Mhm.
But a lot of times we're doing school when we're driving down the road or when
Mhm.
we're sitting in the yard or when we're at the park or on a field trip.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end. And it's a beautiful thing because I can connect everything. I can connect who God is and what we believe about him to whatever we're learning in school and whatever we're experiencing in life. It's all connected. And I love that.
I do too.
So I'm going to ask parents about the lessons that they've learned in their homeschool journey. And so for me, a lesson that I've learned is that kids are different. And even though they may be similar in some ways, they may be different in other ways. And I think that would be obvious, but I'm trying to teach number one the way I teach number two, the way I teach and it doesn't always work like that. So I have to adapt. What worked for one kid, even the same curriculum or the same technique, is not necessarily going to work for the other. And you have to be flexible and be willing to adapt when the kids are different. So that's one thing that I've learned. So
one thing that I've learned is not what I thought. If you're going into this thing thinking one thing, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson that I've learned. It's not what I thought.
Yeah. Okay. Top tip for homeschool people, new people in homeschool. Mine would be don't try to copy public school at home. When we first started, I had a schoolroom, which is not a bad thing. And we had a certain time of day, we had a certain routine, and those aren't bad things either. But it was very regimented. It was very much, I even found some public school books at a thrift store and bought those and was copying a lot of things. Even though I thought that I was different from public school, I still did a lot of public school things at home. And we adjusted to that. We adjusted to, yeah, you can have fidget toys, and yeah, you can sit on the bouncy ball while we're doing school, and yeah, you can stand up and walk around while you're reading your book, or yes, we're going to do PE first because that helps you to be able to sit still, and so that'd be a top tip. Don't try to copy public school at home.
No.
And do you have a top tip for newbies?
Just be open-minded.
Yeah.
Be open-minded going into this.
Yeah, because you need to do what works for you and your family, not what somebody else is doing or what you think it's going to be. Yeah. So mistakes that we made along the way, I would say with one, I did push a little bit too hard in preschool. I kind of shared a little bit about that, and I didn't realize it. I just was doing what I had done with another child. I'm like, all right, well, you're going to be the same way. And she just pushed back. She didn't enjoy school. She didn't like having to do what I was trying to teach her to do. She didn't want to be her big sister. She was just different. And I should have just read to her and played with her and let her color and let that be the thing. But lesson learned.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. Just don't try to make them fit in the same mold. What is your favorite? I already told what your favorite subject is.
Well, maybe they forgot.
Well, you can tell how you help teach.
I do. I mean, history is my subject, and I help with the girls. I mean, I right now we're doing the Revolutionary War, and it's just I help teach them things that Aaron may have missed or didn't even think of. That's something I may have read somewhere. Something that's very,
It's good. I can ask him questions too, like what comes after this, or what do you know about that?
Yeah.
So it's a really nice thing, and they love showing off. They love telling about what they've learned, and they love showing him things. And then there's usually an extension. He's like, "Oh, well, what do you know about this?" Or he's asking them review type questions, and they don't know something. He gets to teach them that, so that's really neat. My favorite thing to teach is thematic units. My favorite thus far has been, we did a farm unit for science for an entire school year. The entire year, our theme was farm. So we visited farms, we planted our own garden. We learned about worms and composting. We learned about bees and honey. We learned about cows and beef farms and milk and goats and chickens. And we learned about different fruits and vegetables and how and where they're farmed, just all kinds of things. And all year long, we studied hands-on as well as reading from books, visiting places. It was great. And that's my favorite because there was so much connection. And it wasn't just, okay, here's the unit and now we're done. We got to go really deep into all of those things. And we learned so much. I'm shocked at all the things that my girls learned and remembered, later about just bees or milk or something like that we learned from a book and we learned from a farm, and they remembered it. It was really, really great. So our best homeschool memories so far, I would say mine are the family field trips.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of fun.
The family field trip, not only the field trip, but watching the girls be able to learn, being able to see them be excited about it and be able to learn it and not only learn it, but to retain it and keep it.
Yeah. I love every time they learn something new, the way that their faces light up and they're so excited and they're so proud of themselves. And because it's so great, I want to relive it. So when he comes home from work, I'm like, show daddy what you did today. Show daddy what you learned today. And it's so great when they learn something new, you get to be a part of that. And I would, the last question is our impact. What impact has homeschool had on our family and our kids? So
I think their values are different because we're teaching them our values, not the values of the school system. So they're learning Christian values because that's what we're teaching them.
Well, I mean, in a school system, even in a private school system, each year you have a different teacher. Each year there's a different person influencing your life. versus our kids, they have the connectivity of year after year after year learning from us. And we're able to take them to new places because we're not starting over with a stranger, a kid we don't know, but we're able to help them to grow in their character, in their understanding of values and morals. So remember when this happened 3 years ago, remember this. Now this is the way this is how we respond to this type of situation. And applying that and then reinforcing that. Oh, I love the way that, some kid was doing something he wasn't supposed to do in the neighborhood. And our 8-year-old came inside, slammed the door. And I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, he's doing this and I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm like, yes, we got to see that. She had the option to be able to walk away from that.
Yes.
To come inside. And we were able to brag on her that she was wise to be able to do that. And that was so great. We really have seen a lot of character formation. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think I've said everything that how I feel and what I think.
And 10 years later.
10 years later, it's working.
I would agree. I'm very thankful that you said we could try this experiment. And I'm so grateful to God for allowing us this opportunity, because it really has been life-changing. And I'm so thankful for where our family is because of homeschooling. Thank y'all for joining us for this podcast. We can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.